everyone, and welcome to today's lesson about inches. We are starting a new chapter about measurement, what that means, how to use it, and all those fun different factors. So let's dive right in. Our essential question for this chapter is, how can I measure objects? It might be a small question, but there are lots of answers. I'm curious to see what you guys would say in answering this question. How would you measure an object? What are the different ways? I don't know. Answer below. I'm curious to see. Let's warm up our brain, though, with a quick problem of the day. This is a word problem, so I'm going to get my handy-dandy highlighting tool out so we can pull out all the important information. Here we go. There are 5 baseball games scheduled in April. So I'm going to highlight that. And 9 games in May. 3 games in early April are canceled because of the rain. I'm going to circle canceled in April and 3 because those are kind of important. 2 games are added in May when it is not raining. How many games are played? How many games were originally planned? What is the difference? Whoa, this is a big question. There's a lot of information in here. So let's work it out. We're going to start here with figuring out how many games are played. So 5 baseball games are scheduled in April. Put April, May. 9 in May. It says 3 games in April are canceled. So if they're canceled, we have to take them away, which leaves 2 games in April were actually played. 2 games are added to May. Well, May is going to be a busy month for games. So 9 plus 2 is 11. How many games are played? Well, now that we counted in our canceled games and our added games, we can add the 2 and the 11 together. Just do a little number bond here. Put them together, and you get 13. So the answer to this one is 13. How many games were originally planned? So to do this, we're just going to ignore the takeoff and adding. So we're just going to add the original 5 games and the original 9 games to get 14 games. What's the difference? The difference, remember, is the answer to a subtraction problem. So we're going to subtract the larger number 14 from the smaller number 13. And we get 1. The difference is 1 game. Let's practice some time. We just finished time, and I was really impressed with the test you guys just took, so great job there. So tell the time for the activity. Write the time on the digital clock, circle AM or PM. Perfect. So music class, looks like we're going to read this clock. We have our hour hand, which is between the 10 and the 11, or well, it looks like it's exactly on the 11 there. And I know that because my minute hand is exactly on the 12, which means it just turned 11. So it's 11 o'clock. And that would make the most sense to be in the AM. Because if we had music at 11 o'clock p.m. at night, you guys would be fast asleep and you'd have to go back to school in the middle of the night. So eat lunch. My hour hand is between the 12 and the 1. Which means it's going from 12 to 1. Not quite 1 yet. So it's 12. And my minute hand is on the 6, which I know is a half hour, which is 30. So it is 12:30 p.m. Because 12:30 a.m. would be really early in the morning. It would be about a little after midnight. So p.m. makes the most sense because that's a little after noon, which makes sense to eat lunch then. All right, now we're going to investigate the math. As you see here, we have a piece of a ruler. You're going to need a ruler for a lot of these lessons and a lot of these explorations. If you don't have one, that's okay. You can go online easily and find a ruler to print out and use as a scale. So, how can you use inch ruler to measure objects? Seeing here, it looks like this one is 2 inches long. If I want to measure objects, I'm going to, for now, draw an object to see if we can do it. If I had maybe an eraser, I could say an eraser is maybe 2 inches long. I would line up the corner of the object with 0, so I could start on 0 and then I count the numbers, 1 inch, 2 inch, for where the other end of the object ends up. So again, make sure you line it up on 0 and then measure until you get to the end of the object. Here we're going to measure classroom objects. It's going to be a little different because you won't be able to see me use a ruler, but I do have a ruler at home with me here, and I'm pulling out all these different objects to measure. If you don't have, a stapler or a crayon box or a book, that's okay. And also different books are going to be different lengths. I'm going to use a smaller journal notebook that I have at home because I only have a small ruler. So we're going to see this portion that says estimate and length. Estimate means an educated kind of guess. If we're going to estimate, we're going to make a realistic guess of how many inches we think the object is. So if I were looking at the pencil here, I would say, oh, that's probably, 3 inches. It wouldn't make sense for me to say, oh, it's probably 30 inches. When it comes to estimating, it's not a time to make silly guesses or things like that. You want to make an educated guess. The pencil I have is a little larger than the one they have in the picture, and I'm measuring it, and it looks like I got about 6 inches. I wonder how long your pencils are. I don't have a stapler at home with me, so I won't be able to measure it for the accurate length, but I will estimate. I think thinking back to my staplers in class and what it looks like compared to pencils, I think it would make sense that it would be 6 inches. But I'll have to go find a stapler and check. Now finally, my book. I'm looking at my book, and it's definitely larger than my pencil. So I'm going to say it's about, not quite 2 pencils, 11 inches. I'm going to measure it. And I was close. It was about 10 inches. I wonder how your measurements went. Sometimes you'll get measurements in word problems, and solving these can be pretty simple if you pull out the important information. So we got to remember what difference and sum mean and how to figure out if it's an addition or subtraction. It says Laura is using a hiking stick that is 47 inches long. So I'm going to say Laura, 47. Roshan is using a hiking stick that is 14 inches longer than Laura's. So his is not 14 inches. It's longer by 14 inches than Laura's. Okay? Carly's hiking stick is 7 inches shorter than Rohan's. We need to figure out the lengths of each stick. I think a fun way to solve this is to draw it out. So we have Laura, and put L for Laura, and we know that her hiking stick is 47 inches. And then I'm going to put, for inches, you would do IN as an abbreviation. So for Laura, 47. I don't have to put IN there, I'm realizing, because they already have inches. Because then if I wrote it, it would be inches. Now we have Roshan. So Roshan, his is 14 inches longer than Laura's. So I'm going to draw Laura's stick again, because we want to have that as a comparison. And Roshan's is 14 inches longer. So I'm going to put 14 inches here. So we know that because it's longer, we need to add that to Laura's amount. So we can put that here, 47 plus 14. 7 plus 4. Oh, we got to regroup. That's 11. Put the 1 down here. Carry the 10. 4, 5, 6. Roshan's stick is 61 inches. Now that we know how long Roshan's stick is, we can look at Carly's. I'm going to put a C for Carly. Carly's is 7 inches shorter than Rohan's. So here's Rohan's, and his is 61. So let's move this information over here. I'm going to put Carly, and then put Roshan beneath. Because Roshan's, we know his is 61, and hers is shorter than his. So there's that. But it's shorter by 7 inches. So that's the missing length here. To figure that out, we need to subtract 7 from 61. So we can figure out what is Carly's. 61 minus 7. More on the floor, go next door, borrow 10 more. So that becomes 5. This becomes 11. 11 minus 7 is 4. Looks like Carly's hiking stick is 54 inches. This really required us to stretch our brains. There were lots of parts to this problem. We had to draw pictures, we had to solve different problems, we had to try to keep track of our information. So I really suggest using labels and taking your time when solving these sort of problems. Let's check our work. 47, 61, 54. Good job. All right, as you see here, you're given a piece of a ruler to help you measure these objects. When you're measuring today, you could take out a ruler if you have one at home. If not, you could actually find, if you have blocks or pasta, or you get creative. See if you have things that you could use that line up with an inch so you can measure with it. Sometimes paper clips, if you have little ones, those measure up to an inch. And you could count paper clips to see how long something is. So we want to see inches. So that's 2, 3. For me, I'm going to do estimates here. So mine might not be accurate. I'm going to try to line up the objects and say, well, this looks about 2 inches. 3. I think the highlighter might be 6. I think it's double that ruler. Crayon, I think that's going to be 3. And I think this guy's going to be 3. But I might be wrong. Tell me below if you measure with the ruler at home, if you got anything different. I'm curious to see. I was just estimating. See and show. 1 inch is about the length of 1 colored tile. Now, we don't have colored tiles with us here, but if we were in the classroom, a colored tile would be, it would look like a square, and it would measure to be 1 inch, so you could use those physical tiles to measure. If you don't have those tiles at home, that's okay. You can find other tools that measure exactly to be 1 inch, and find lots of them to line up and measure instead of a ruler if you want. It says you can use what you know about inches to estimate the length of an object. Then use an inch ruler to measure the length. Measure is to find out how long it is. A helpful hint, the length is about 3 inches. So this is the estimate of this eraser here. See, they lined it up with 0, and then they measured wherever the object stopped. And they say the eraser is 3 inches long. They estimated that it might be 3. They measured it and saw that it actually is. For your work today, I'm going to let you go explore. It has a list of objects for you to go find, like a scavenger hunt. You're going to estimate what you think the lengths are. I suggest before you go on your search and actually measuring the objects, you make an accurate estimation. Well, I think, it says it's chalk, but I don't know if we have chalk. So you can find a crayon box or a color pencil box. And I go, wow, its width there, probably, my guess is 3 inches. And then a lunchbox, oh man, I'm going to say 8 inches is my guess. And I'm going to find these objects, and then I'm going to measure them and put how long it actually is in inches. Good luck, you guys. You've got this. I can't wait to see what you find and measure. All right. Till next time. Bye.